Hey everybody, and welcome to Mondoid, your one-stop shop for all things Monday Project Zomboid blog update. Better than last week, at the very least. This week, we're taking a look at something that's near and dear to my heart, and that is the music of Project Zomboid. And I'll talk about that once we get to it, but there's a few other things that they actually address here that I'm happy to see. Stuff that I didn't actually necessarily would have thought about, but am glad to have read about. Something that, I probably would have noticed once I played the new version, but never thought about until now. So what is that exactly? Well, this is beautiful, Zach Beaver. We have basically them talking about the NPCs running their daily lives, I guess is the best way to describe it, because what they talk about in this particular first half of the blog is what are the NPCs doing when they're not doing anything. And they're talking about, well, if we just kind of implemented the game now as it is, we would sit there and you would basically see NPCs, if they were not doing anything in particular, just standing there and staring at brick walls. Which you can actually kind of come across in the older versions as well. If you didn't know, I actually ran across a group of NPCs recently, actually, that I recorded episode 10 of my Zomboid series. The one that's called Sabotage. Go check it out. Shameless plug. Where I come across NPCs, they're in the house, and they're not really doing much. And that's kind of the case here. So Lemmy was tasked with encouraging NPCs to do things. So if they're sitting around and they're not particularly going out scavenging or killing zombies or keeping watch, they are in the house and doing nothing. So as of right now, the animations basically show that them doing nothing. So Lemmy's task was to change that. Either them being laying in bed or sitting on a sofa or wandering room to room. All these things that a dormant AI should be doing if they were actually people, essentially. Like, if I was bored, sitting in a house, locked up there for my safety, there's a very good chance I'd be wandering or pacing or doing something. So that was kind of the idea, because what they want to do is make sure when the new version releases, it looks as crisp and as realistic as they could possibly get it for the time being. And I like that. But as I said, it kind of presents a challenge in implementing the AI activity that'll occur when you actually see it. Making character locations consistent within the metagame whenever you approach an occupied building. So basically, they're just talking about the challenges, and another thing they gotta worry about is the animations now. So if they're going to be doing all of these things, the AI is going to be doing all of these things, that means they need to look like they're doing all of these things. And so, as you can see here, some of the animations being designed, being implemented in the new release. The first one on the left is a man sitting in his chair. He's got an axe out, so he's probably contemplating murdering one of his fellow survivors. I know that would be me, or at the very least, that would be my survivor, and to be honest, I probably wouldn't think about it. At the very least, I'd probably just go up and axe him and take his water. On the second one, we have a guy climbing up a rope, which is going to be awesome, and the last one is climbing out a window, one that I very much am excited to see, because that animation is one that I use quite often. So these all are well and good, and I'm glad to see these other things, but I want to see something more substantial in this blog. I want to see something exciting. Well, that brings us to the second part out of this three-part blog, and that is the skill system. The skill system is getting a revamp. The question is, are we going to see it in RC3? And the answer is, they don't know yet. The way things are going to work is things are going to be a lot more difficult for you. You're going to have a different sort of skill system. I highly encourage you to go read this, because they talk about how Zomboid is a very trait-crazy world now, and that's good. I think that's a phenomenal thing in a game like this, where they are so focused on survival. Having a character that's good at everything is impractical, improbable, and quite frankly, in real life, impossible. And that's something they're kind of striving for. So when creating your character, you need to think, well, what do I want this character to be good at? Something that I would probably do is be something, I'd probably have his focus be stealth and melee. I'd have him be bad at, hitting with blunt weapons, probably can't carry that much. All these other things, like bad with, I'm trying to think of all the skills in there right now. Maybe can't run that fast or can't run that far, but he'd be, you gotta pick that, and that's what they're talking about. And the things that they said that the way the leveling up is going to work is going to be different. Sure, you could still do I'm going to swing my axe every day for 17 hours a day until I level up. Yeah, you can do that, sure. But how long before you start seeing results? To be honest with you, probably months, right? So you picture it as working out. I'm going to start working out, right? I don't expect to see massive game-changing results in my body in 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Sure, I might start to see some mild improvements. I might actually be able to see some tone in my body, but I won't see big, huge mastery improvements in for at least 3 or 4 months, and that in-game time can take a long time, especially when the horde's roaming around. You won't necessarily have the time to do that every day. So they're talking about how when you start with the skill at 0, it's very close to impossible to make that master. And they're talking about how skills are going to work, how traits and skills are going to be more variable, more flexible, I think is a good term. When, say, I've been working out my axe, I've been working on my axe, and then suddenly I stop and I just sit on the couch every day and I start taking control of my team. I become a leader. I'm not going to be the active one anymore. Maybe our leader died, right? And I am the next one they look up to, and I don't have the time to go out. They can't risk my life going out and going and scavenging amongst the zombie horde. So my job now is to stay inside, manage. I'm the manager of this team. I don't go out and practice anymore. I don't go out and swing my axe anymore. What's going to happen? Well, that's going to start deteriorating. I'm going to start losing that muscle mass. I'm going to start losing ranks in that skill. And they even said to go as far as if you were just a couch potato, you could lose that skill entirely and gain something called overweight, where you are now slower, you can't run as fast, etc., etc. So very dynamic, very flexible skill choices are going to be introduced in the newer system, and I'm really happy about that because, again, that brings this whole thing kind of around. It kind of brings it into a much more realistic state. So I would, again, read it all. The details are there if you're so interested. Now, one of the biggest things I was excited to read about is just Zach Beaver's music, because you've probably, if you've watched any of my videos, you know that I love some of the tracks in the game and I hate other tracks. And the reason I hate other ones, particularly the action ones, is because it takes me out of the experience. I'm not scared anymore. I have adrenaline pumping and I want to turn around and kill these zombies because the music is just making me want to fight. It's very action-oriented, the very guitar-heavy stuff, the very rock and roll-heavy stuff. While when I'm playing and there's got the kind of the dreary music, the sad music, the very atmospheric music makes me depressed, in a way, and makes me want to, kind of just stay hidden up and stay safe and stay away from everything that can hurt little old me. So he talks about just what he's been doing. He went out to Prague to study with a composer, which is awesome. This guy's, think about it. He's, 17 now? Maybe 18? And he's learned a lot in the past year or two while the music's kind of been out of the game since the latest release kind of broke it. And he's got a couple of samples here. One's of an older song you'll know, but a newer one down here of which I'm going to have you go check out the blog and click it. It's an awesome, awesome track. To me, it's great to hear that he's got this kind of underlying motif with all of the songs, and that's something the developers asked him to do, is kind of have this motif going. And I really hope that a lot of his songs sound like the new one and maintain that sense of survival, that sense of sacred, how keeping your life sacred and being scared. So it's really awesome. Go check it out. And that's really the blog this week. It's just a really solid update. Nothing mind-blowing, which is, you don't need something mind-blowing every week. But at the same time, it just reinforces that I'm excited for the release because they're just working on all the little things that need to be worked on, whether they be animations, whether they be the skill system, or whether they just be music, which is one of my personal favorite things and biggest gripes in the game. So I hope you enjoyed Mondoid. Again, for all the details, go to projectzomboid.com. You can see the link right there and just click on it and check it out. You can also keep update with it if you don't have time to read it by just throwing on my Mondoid updates and say you're at work and you can just listen to me blab about it for 8 to 10 minutes or so. I hope to see you guys next time. If you like my content, feel free to like and subscribe the video. You don't understand how much it helps, as I've been growing at a relatively rapid rate lately is what I meant to say. And I hope to see you guys next week, if not tomorrow. I'll see you guys later.